Hello and welcome to another daily devotional as we talk about what it is to fish for human beings, to be fishers of men, fishers of women, to be those that follow Jesus into our day-to-day lives and become difference makers. Whether it's those friends from Luke's gospel that lower their paralyzed friend down through the ceiling, or it's the disciples who go out two by two telling people about how their lives have been changed by who Jesus is. I think of two people today, maybe three, that I'm going to kind of mix together. The first is Bob Carter. He's a former member of the church, had an auto body shop off of Ogden Avenue. It's still there. I think his sons run it now. And Bob had since stopped going to church. I don't know his reasons why. I've never asked him. But I remember one day I called him up, and after having left my birthday messages for him, I said, Bob, I've got a person who's struggling, who's lost their job, they're living out of their car, they need brakes, they need a new muffler for this thing to be roadworthy. Do you think you could maybe give me a discount to help? I'm trying to help this person get back on their wheels. And Bob said, yeah, I'll take care of it. I never got a bill. They never got a bill. He just did it. And over the years, over the course of time, and I hope Bob doesn't mind me saying so, there's been dozens of people that I've sent over to his auto body shop who were in dire need. And he found ways, whatever it was, whether he could do it for free or he had to cut corners to try and make it so that he could help them in their need. He was a mechanic. He wasn't a preacher. He wasn't a Bible thumper. He wasn't a street side evangelist, but he knew what he could do with his hands with a car. And he knew that he could help somebody who was in desperate need to get to their job, take their kids to school, go to interviews, make it from shelter to shelter, or have a working car with a heater that they were sleeping in. And he said, well, I may not be able to baptize somebody or marry somebody, but I can use these hands to fix a car. I also think about somebody who may be a little more famous now, but she wasn't at the time, 15-year-old Swedish girl, Greta Thunberg. Here's a kid who was watching things that were happening with the world and the environment, and then watching politicians make their promises, as politicians often do. And she said, you know what? I'm going to stand outside the Swedish parliament with a sign that says, I'm striking for school until you guys decide you're actually going to do something for our country for climate responsibility. Because right now, you guys aren't doing anything. You're talking a good game. And I know some people have mocked her because, well, she's getting out of school. But you know what? Here's a kid at 15 who said, if we don't stop doing some of what we're doing, there's not going to be a normal. We're all going to get in a bad way if we don't start being more responsible with our use of fossil fuels. You might call her a prophetic voice. But here's a 15-year-old young girl who then suddenly finds herself on the cover of Time magazine and speaking to the United Nations, 165 countries, as they're talking about what they're going to do in the world scale. And here's a high school sophomore saying, don't just talk a good game. Don't just try to worry about getting reelected. Actually do something. So there's a calling of a mechanic, and there's a calling of a kid that sees something wrong in the world and says, I gotta do something. I don't know Greta's faith. I don't know if a faith in God drove her to do that or not. I have no idea her faith background. But I know she had a conviction and a calling to do something about it. See, in Christ, our calling is not just to believe something, not just to believe that Christ is my Lord and Savior and the Lord of my life, but also I'm called to do something in reaction to who he is in my life. The generous grace he's given me, all the things he's forgiven me of, and the way he loves me. And in response to that, I want to do something in this world that shares that love, shares that grace, and feels like good news to anybody who hears it. Not something that you're getting banged over the head with or tackled and dragged to, kicking and screaming. So, how about it? Who is it in your life that you've seen find their calling, their niche, the thing that God made them to do, and they've done it? And I hope, whether it's today or a week from now or 2 years from now, you can look in the mirror and say, I'm one of those people too. I have found my calling. And this I know is what God put me on this earth to do. Each of us has something. What is it for you?